What did Elon Musk see in Barron Trump that made him share their conversation with the world? Was it simply a meeting of two curious minds? Or does it hint at something deeper about the youngest Trump's untapped potential? And why is this interaction captivating both media and public imagination in ways no one expected? Could this Thanksgiving dinner be a turning point for Barron, the quietest member of a famously loud family? What role might Musk play in shaping Barron's journey as he steps out of the shadows? And how could this bond redefine the Trump family dynamic moving forward? Let's delve deeper into their dinner. Thanksgiving at Mar-a-Lago was shaping up to be as extravagant as ever. The sprawling estate, with its glistening chandeliers, perfectly manicured lawns, and a dining table laden with decadent dishes, hosted an eclectic mix of guests. Among them was Elon Musk, a man as much at home on Twitter, or X, as he now insisted it be called, as he was launching rockets into space. Sitting beside Donald Trump, Musk cut a prominent figure, his presence adding an unexpected twist to the evening. The dinner wasn't just a celebration of turkey and pumpkin pie, it was a gathering of power players. Musk, fresh off his appointment to head the newly established Department of Government Efficiency under Trump's administration, seemed entirely at ease in his role. The two men, bonded by mutual ambition and a shared knack for commanding attention, had been seen walking arm in arm through the banquet hall, greeting guests with practiced charm. Yet it wasn't Donald Trump who would steal the spotlight that night. It was someone much quieter, someone often seen but rarely heard. Barron Trump. For years, Barron had been a figure of quiet curiosity. Standing well over 6 feet tall, his stature alone made him noticeable, but his reluctance to court attention kept him enigmatic. As the youngest Trump, Barron had remained largely in the shadows during his father's presidency, making only sporadic appearances at major events. His shy demeanor and averted gaze seemed at odds with the flamboyance synonymous with the Trump name, but that evening, Musk offered a glimpse of a Barron few had ever imagined. The seating arrangement was intriguing in itself. On one side of Donald Trump sat Musk, gesturing animatedly as he discussed policy initiatives and technological advancements. On the other side sat Barron, composed but quiet, observing the scene with an air of detachment. It seemed like the perfect setup for a typical Trump dinner, where conversations were dominated by larger-than-life personalities. Yet, as the night unfolded, Musk found himself leaning across the table, not toward Donald, but toward Barron. Later, Musk would share a brief yet tantalizing insight on X. Discussed consciousness and video games with Barron, he posted, triggering an avalanche of curiosity. Social media exploded with questions. What kind of video games did Barron play? Was he a fan of strategy games that mirrored Musk's own calculated mind? Or was he drawn to fast-paced action games? And why, of all topics, consciousness? The conversation sparked endless speculation, with some users jokingly dubbing it the birth of Barron lore. For those who'd followed Barron's life from a distance, this revelation was surprising. Musk's brief comment painted a picture of a young man with interests far removed from the typical image of a reserved college freshman. The enigmatic Barron suddenly seemed less like a shadow in the Trump dynasty and more like an emerging character with depth, intellect, and perhaps even a knack for philosophy. The chatter didn't stop there. Musk's mother, Mae Musk, who had also attended the Thanksgiving dinner, chimed in with her own comment on X. Reposting her son's update, she added 2 heart-eye emojis and the remark, "They were talking all night. Barron is very smart." This endorsement only fueled the intrigue. Was Barron, long thought to be an introverted observer, quietly cultivating a sharp intellect and a penchant for deep conversations? The buzz around this interaction stood in stark contrast to Barron's historical image. The public had grown accustomed to seeing him as a quiet figure, his appearances marked by a sense of reserve. But Musk's comment hinted at a side of Barron that had rarely been glimpsed before. The youngest Trump wasn't just listening, he was engaging, holding his own in discussions with one of the most outspoken and innovative minds of the modern era. It wasn't the first time Barron had shown flashes of personality, though these moments were few and far between. Years earlier, in a 2009 interview, a toddler-aged Barron had confidently proclaimed his love for playing drums, a moment that had endeared him to viewers. At the time, It seemed like a sweet but fleeting glimpse into a child's world. Now, years later, Musk's comments suggested that the spark of individuality in Barron hadn't disappeared. It had just been hidden, waiting for the right moment to resurface. As the evening progressed, the table was abuzz with conversations, laughter, and the occasional clink of glasses. Yet, according to Musk's enthusiastic recounting, Barron and Elon were immersed in their own world, deep in discussion. For a family so often in the spotlight, this rare moment of focus on Barron felt like a quiet revolution. Could this signify the beginning of a more prominent role for him within the Trump family narrative? Or was this simply an isolated instance of the right topic meeting the right audience? The dinner itself was a visual spectacle, but it was these personal interactions that lingered in people's minds. Barron's reserved demeanor seemed to soften, his body language more relaxed than usual. If he was nervous about Musk's larger-than-life personality, it didn't show. In fact, it appeared as though the two shared a mutual understanding, an easy camaraderie that defied the typical dynamics of a dinner-table conversation dominated by Donald Trump. The intrigue surrounding Barron Trump's hidden persona was amplified by the context. Musk wasn't just any dinner guest, he was a cultural phenomenon in his own right, a man whose every move sparked global discussions. His decision to highlight his conversation with Barron wasn't accidental. Musk, a master of calculated moves, seemed to understand the impact of his words. In just a few lines, he had transformed the narrative surrounding Barron Trump, sparking curiosity and admiration in equal measure. The buzz surrounding Elon Musk's comment about his conversation with Barron Trump didn't just linger, it seemed to grow louder with each passing day. Social media platforms lit up with speculation and amusement as users dissected every word Musk had posted. What exactly did they discuss about consciousness? Was it a philosophical debate, or perhaps a deep dive into the mechanics of artificial intelligence? And then there was the gaming angle. Which games had caught the attention of the youngest Trump, a young man so rarely seen engaging in anything that wasn't carefully managed by the family? The memes started almost immediately. Barron lore became a trending phrase, with users inventing outlandish backstories for the 18-year-old. One post claimed Barron was secretly a top-ranked player in competitive gaming, while another suggested he had written an unpublished book on the philosophy of virtual reality. While these were, of course, jokes, they reflected a growing curiosity about a figure who had spent most of his life as a quiet, almost mysterious presence in a family that thrived on publicity. Musk's enthusiastic response to her son's post only added fuel to the fire. Her declaration that Barron was very smart carried weight, not just because it came from someone of her stature, but because it hinted at a dynamic that had gone unnoticed until now. For someone like Elon Musk to engage with Barron so intensely, there had to be more to the youngest Trump than his stoic public persona let on. Suddenly, people began to wonder, had Barron been underestimated all this time? While the online chatter was lighthearted, there was a deeper layer to this story. The Trump family has always been a study in contrasts, flamboyant yet calculating, controversial yet charismatic. And in many ways, Barron had been the outlier. His avoidance of the spotlight was almost a rebellion against the family's ethos. But now, Musk's comments suggested that this wasn't the whole picture. Perhaps Barron's reserved nature wasn't a lack of interest in the world around him, but rather a deliberate choice to focus on other pursuits. The timing of this revelation couldn't have been more significant. As a freshman at New York University, Barron was just beginning a chapter of his life that offered both independence and anonymity, two things that had been scarce during his father's presidency. For the first time, he had the opportunity to shape his identity outside the constraints of the Trump brand. And yet, the Thanksgiving dinner interaction brought him right back into the public eye, but on his own terms. Musk's mention of video games struck a chord with many young people who saw in Barron a reflection of themselves. Gaming had become a cultural touchstone, a way to connect with others and explore different facets of identity. If Barron shared this passion, it humanized him in a way that few other details could. He wasn't just a distant figure standing silently behind his father. He was a young man with interests, ideas, and perhaps even a sense of humor. Of course, this newfound attention came with its challenges. Being a Trump meant that every move, every word, was scrutinized to an extreme degree. For Barron, who had managed to avoid this scrutiny for most of his life, the sudden interest in his personality could have been overwhelming. But according to those who witnessed the Thanksgiving dinner, he seemed unfazed. He held his own in conversations, responding thoughtfully and even challenging Musk on a few points. A far cry from the quiet teenager the public had come to expect. This glimpse of Barron's intellect and curiosity raised an intriguing question. Could he play a more prominent role in the Trump family's narrative moving forward? His father, after all, was gearing up for a potential second term in office, a prospect that would undoubtedly thrust the entire family back into the spotlight. While Melania Trump has consistently shielded her son from media attention, this interaction with Musk hinted that Barron might have the potential to step out of the shadows if he chose to do so. The idea of Barron as an active participant in the Trump dynasty was both fascinating and, for some, unsettling. The family had always been polarizing, and adding a new voice to the mix could either soften their image or amplify their controversies. But for those who saw potential in Barron, the possibility of him emerging as a thoughtful, measured counterpoint to his father's bombastic style was an appealing one. Could he be the bridge between the family's past and its future? At the heart of this story was the undeniable impact of Elon Musk. His ability to draw people into his orbit was nothing new, but his influence on the Trump family dynamic added a layer of complexity to an already intricate web of relationships. Musk wasn't just a guest at the dinner table. He was a disruptor, a provocateur, and perhaps even a mentor figure to Barron. His decision to engage with the young Trump wasn't random. It was a reflection of Musk's own values, his belief in fostering curiosity and challenging the status quo. And yet, this interaction wasn't entirely devoid of humor. Musk's larger-than-life persona often walked the line between brilliance and absurdity, and his comments about Barron sparked as much amusement as they did intrigue. The image of the two of them deep in conversation, one a billionaire tech magnate, the other a teenager with a penchant for video games, was both surreal and oddly heartwarming. It was a reminder that even in the most extraordinary circumstances, there were moments of genuine connection. For Barron, this Thanksgiving dinner might have been a turning point. The shy, reserved boy the world had seen during his father's presidency was evolving into a young man with his own voice and interests. Whether he chooses to embrace the spotlight or continue to carve out his own path in private remains to be seen. But one thing is certain: he is no longer the enigma he once was. Thanks to Elon Musk, the world now sees him in a new light, not just as the youngest Trump, but as someone with the potential to surprise us all. The intrigue surrounding Barron Trump's personality wasn't new, but Elon Musk's casual mention of their conversation reignited a curiosity that had been quietly simmering for years. For many, Barron had been a figure shrouded in mystery. He grew up in one of the most scrutinized families in the world, yet somehow managed to avoid the relentless spotlight that followed his parents and siblings. But now, people were beginning to connect the dots, piecing together glimpses of his personality from fleeting public moments and Musk's recent remarks. One of the most memorable moments from Barron's early years came in a 2009 interview. Just shy of 3 years old, he had charmed viewers with his confident exclamation, "I like to play drums." At the time, it was a brief, adorable insight into a child's world, a moment that felt unscripted amidst the carefully curated public image of the Trump family. Yet years later, this moment took on a new significance. It hinted at a spark of individuality that perhaps hadn't faded but instead evolved, waiting for the right circumstances to emerge. Fast forward to Thanksgiving 2024, and it seemed those circumstances had arrived. Musk's description of their conversation painted a picture of Barron as not just an active participant, but a deeply engaged one. Discussions about consciousness weren't exactly casual dinner table fare, yet Barron reportedly held his own, even challenging Musk on a few points. This wasn't the shy teenager people thought they knew. It was someone who appeared to be coming into his own. At 18, Barron is at a crossroads. His enrollment at New York University marked a significant step toward independence, a chance to carve out his own identity away from the ever-present gaze of the public. For someone who spent much of his formative years shielded from scrutiny, college life offered an opportunity to blend in, to be seen as just another student rather than the youngest member of the Trump dynasty. Yet, despite his efforts to stay out of the limelight, The Thanksgiving dinner interaction propelled him back into the conversation, but on his terms. The timing couldn't have been more interesting. Donald Trump's potential second term loomed large on the horizon, bringing with it the promise of renewed media attention for the entire family. While Melania Trump had always fiercely guarded Barron's privacy, the dynamics of a second presidential term could challenge that. Could Barron continue to stay in the background, or would he step forward either by choice or necessity? Elon Musk's presence in the Trump orbit added an intriguing dimension to this question. Musk wasn't just a casual acquaintance of the family. His role in the new Department of Government Efficiency positioned him as both an ally and a disruptor. His decision to highlight his interaction with Barron wasn't just a passing remark, it was a deliberate act, one that shifted the narrative around the youngest Trump. Whether Musk saw potential in Barron or simply appreciated his intellect, the interaction suggested that Barron's voice might become harder to ignore. Social media, as always, played a significant role in amplifying this narrative. The Barron lore phenomenon, while rooted in humor, reflected a genuine curiosity about who Barron really was. For years, he had been defined by what he didn't do. He didn't court the media, didn't participate in his father's more performative moments, didn't seek attention. Now, for the first time, he was being defined by what he did do, engaging in meaningful conversations, showing a sharp mind, and perhaps even hinting at a future where he takes a more active role in the public eye. But for all the speculation, Barron's next steps remain a mystery. His time at NYU offers him a rare chance to shape his identity outside of his family's shadow. For someone who grew up in an environment where every move was scrutinized, the anonymity of college life might be a welcome reprieve. Yet, the Thanksgiving dinner revealed a side of Barron that was willing to engage, to connect, and to explore ideas that went beyond the surface. It was a tantalizing glimpse of what could be should he choose to step out of his comfort zone. Elon Musk, for his part, seemed genuinely impressed. His ability to navigate complex ideas and make them accessible has always been one of his strengths, and his conversation with Barron appeared to reflect that. Musk's admiration wasn't limited to a single post on X. Those who were present at the dinner noted that the two spent much of the evening in deep discussion. For a man who thrives on intellectual challenges, Musk's willingness to engage with Barron suggested that he saw more than just the son of a former president. He saw a young man with potential. The broader implications of this interaction are worth considering. The Trump family has always been a polarizing force, with each member playing a specific role in the public narrative. Barron's role, until now, has been largely undefined, but Musk's comments have sparked a reevaluation. Could Barron emerge as a bridge between the past and the future of the Trump legacy? Could he represent a more measured, thoughtful approach that contrasts with the larger-than-life personas of his father and siblings? For some, the idea of Barron stepping into the spotlight is exciting, a chance to see a new dimension of the Trump family. For others, it's a source of apprehension, a reminder of how deeply intertwined family and politics have become. But one thing is clear: Barron Trump is no longer just a silent figure in the background. Whether he embraces this newfound attention or retreats from it, his actions in the coming years will undoubtedly shape how the world perceives him. As the Thanksgiving dinner drew to a close, the scene was almost poetic. Barron, once the quiet observer, had spent the evening engaging with one of the most influential figures of the modern age. It was a moment that hinted at possibilities, a reminder that even in the most unexpected circumstances, connections can spark change. Whether this was a fleeting interaction or the beginning of something more remains to be seen. But one thing is certain: Barron Trump is finally stepping into his story. Elon Musk's presence at Mar-a-Lago was no accident. His growing proximity to Donald Trump and the family wasn't just about Thanksgiving dinners or lighthearted conversations. It marked a convergence of two powerful forces, each known for their disruptive influence in their respective domains. Yet, amidst the grandiosity of politics and technology, the bond forming between Musk and Barron Trump added a uniquely human layer to the narrative. Musk's role within Trump's orbit had grown increasingly significant, especially after his appointment to head the new Department of Government Efficiency. The department itself was a bold, if controversial, move by the Trump administration, aimed at streamlining bureaucracy through innovative technologies. For Musk, it was another arena where he could apply his visionary approach, blending the pragmatic with the aspirational. His close association with Trump, however, came with its own set of challenges, including navigating the complex dynamics of a family that thrived on the public stage. For Barron, Musk's presence was a departure from the usual characters in his life. While the Trump family's inner circle often consisted of political strategists, business moguls, and media personalities, Musk represented something different. He wasn't just a figure of authority or influence. He was someone who thrived on curiosity and the pursuit of knowledge. This distinction may have been what drew Barron out of his shell during the Thanksgiving dinner, creating a connection that surprised even those closest to him. The dynamic between Musk and Donald Trump added an extra layer of intrigue. Trump, known for his larger-than-life persona and unyielding confidence, seemed to view Musk as both a collaborator and, at times, a source of bemusement. Reports of Trump joking about Musk's constant presence, "Elon won't go home," reflected the complexity of their relationship. While Trump valued Musk's input, the tech mogul's unorthodox methods and relentless energy often left even the most seasoned politicians struggling to keep up. For Barron, however, Musk's approach may have been refreshing. Conversations about consciousness, gaming, and technology offered a glimpse into a world that felt more relatable and less performative. Unlike the political theater that often surrounded him, these topics invited genuine engagement, free from the pressures of public scrutiny. Musk's ability to simplify complex ideas without diminishing their depth likely resonated with Barron, who, according to those present, seemed more animated and engaged than ever before. The infamous YMCA dance moment provided a stark contrast to these intellectual exchanges. As the evening wound down, Donald Trump and Elon Musk took to the floor, their impromptu performance a blend of awkward enthusiasm and sheer spectacle. For Barron, who watched from the sidelines, it was a moment of visible embarrassment, a reminder that no matter how poised he might appear, he was still an 18-year-old navigating the quirks of his family. Social media, of course, had a field day with the incident, but it also highlighted the lighter, more human side of these towering figures. Amidst the laughter and memes, a deeper narrative was unfolding. Musk's influence wasn't confined to policy discussions or viral moments. His interaction with Barron hinted at a potential mentorship, one that could help shape the young Trump's path in unexpected ways. Musk's own journey, from a curious child in South Africa to one of the most influential figures in the world, offered a roadmap of sorts, one that emphasized the value of questioning norms and pursuing innovation. For Barron, whose life had been defined by his family's legacy, this perspective could be transformative. While the Trump name carried immense weight, it also came with expectations that often left little room for individuality. Musk's emphasis on curiosity and exploration offered an alternative, a chance to define success on his own terms. Whether Barron would embrace this opportunity remained uncertain, but the Thanksgiving dinner suggested that the seed had been planted. The broader implications of Musk's presence in the Trump family dynamic were impossible to ignore. As Trump geared up for a potential second term, the stakes were higher than ever. Musk's involvement in the administration brought both opportunities and risks, blending technological ambition with the unpredictable nature of politics. For Barron, this intersection of worlds offered both inspiration and complexity, challenging him to navigate a path that was uniquely his own. Yet for all the speculation, the reality was that Barron's journey was still unfolding. The Thanksgiving dinner was just one chapter in a much larger story, one that would likely be shaped by choices yet to be made. Musk's role, whether as a mentor, a collaborator, or simply a guest at the table, added an element of unpredictability, a reminder that even in the most carefully orchestrated narratives, there are moments that defy expectation. As the night came to an end, the room began to empty, the energy shifting from celebration to reflection. For Barron, the evening had been a departure from the norm, a rare opportunity to engage in conversations that went beyond the superficial. For Musk, it was another example of his ability to bridge worlds, connecting with people in ways that left a lasting impression. What remained was a sense of possibility. The interaction between Musk and Barron wasn't just a fleeting moment. It was a glimpse of what could be, a future where the youngest Trump steps into his own, guided by curiosity and a willingness to embrace the unknown. Whether this connection would evolve into something more substantial was a question only time could answer. But for now, it was enough to spark hope, curiosity, and perhaps a little intrigue. As the days following Thanksgiving unfolded, the conversation around Barron Trump and Elon Musk took on a life of its own. The seemingly simple dinner table exchange had become a symbol of something larger, a moment that hinted at unexpected possibilities for both figures. For Musk, it was another testament to his ability to draw attention, even in the most unlikely circumstances. For Barron, it was a rare opportunity to step into a narrative that had often overlooked him, giving the world a glimpse of his intellectual curiosity and potential. The Trump family's dynamic had always been defined by bold personalities. Donald Trump, with his unrelenting charisma and penchant for dominating every room he entered, often left little space for quieter voices. Yet, at that Thanksgiving table, it seemed Barron had carved out his own corner, one that Musk was more than willing to explore. Their conversation, centered around consciousness and video games, felt like a microcosm of the generational shift within the family. While the older Trumps leaned on traditional power plays, Barron's interests reflected a modern, digital-first world, a world Musk had spent his life shaping. For those observing from the outside, the interaction raised questions about the youngest Trump's future. Would he choose to follow in his father's footsteps, embracing the spotlight and the responsibilities that came with the family name? Or would he forge a different path, one defined by his own passions and interests? The answers weren't immediately clear, but Musk's involvement suggested that Barron's journey might not be as straightforward as many had assumed. At NYU, Barron had begun building a life that seemed far removed from the political stage. Classrooms, dormitories, and late-night study sessions offered a semblance of normalcy that must have been a welcome change after years of high-profile public appearances. Yet, as the buzz around his Thanksgiving dinner conversation grew, it became evident that Barron couldn't fully escape the public's gaze. The world was watching, curious to see how he would navigate the delicate balance between his private aspirations and the public expectations tied to his last name. Elon Musk's role in this narrative continued to evolve. His casual comment about their conversation had already made waves, but his sustained presence in the Trump family's orbit without purpose seemed to see potential in Barron that others had overlooked. Whether it was a shared interest in gaming, a mutual curiosity about consciousness, or simply the recognition of a young mind eager to learn, Musk's attention carried weight. It wasn't just the public who noticed. Those within Trump's inner circle began to speculate about what Musk's connection to Barron might mean for the family's future dynamics. For Barron, the timing of Musk's influence couldn't have been more significant. As the youngest Trump embarked on adulthood, he stood at the crossroads of tradition and independence. While his father's towering legacy loomed large, Barron's interests and demeanor suggested he might take a different approach to shaping his identity. Musk's mentorship, or at least the intellectual camaraderie they appeared to share, offered a model for success that wasn't rooted in politics or real estate, but in innovation and curiosity. The Thanksgiving interaction also had ripple effects for the public perception of the Trump family. For years, the narrative had focused on the elder Trumps, their controversies, achievements, and larger-than-life personas. Barron's quiet presence had been a stark contrast, often leading to speculation about his role within the family. Now, Musk's comments reframed the conversation. Barron wasn't just a background figure. He was someone with ideas, interests, and a voice that might yet find its place in the public discourse. Even so, stepping into the spotlight came with risks. The Trump name, while powerful, was polarizing, and any move Barron made would inevitably be scrutinized through the lens of his family's legacy. Musk, no stranger to controversy himself, seemed uniquely equipped to guide Barron through these challenges, should their connection deepen. Musk's ability to navigate criticism and remain unapologetically true to his vision might serve as an invaluable lesson for the young Trump, should he choose to embrace it. As speculation about Barron's future grew, so did the curiosity about Musk's role in the Trump family's narrative. The idea of Musk as an honorary uncle might have started as a joke on social media, but it carried a grain of truth. Musk's presence at Mar-a-Lago, his ongoing collaboration with Donald Trump, and his apparent bond with Barron all pointed to a relationship that was becoming increasingly intertwined. Whether this connection was purely intellectual or hinted at a deeper mentorship remained unclear, but it added an intriguing layer to an already complex family dynamic. The question of Barron's potential role in his father's anticipated second term lingered in the air. Could he step forward as a more prominent figure, perhaps offering a modern, measured counterbalance to the bombast of traditional Trump politics? Or would he continue to chart a quieter, more private path, leveraging his family name without becoming fully enmeshed in its public persona? Musk's influence, subtle as it may have been, seemed to open doors to possibilities that hadn't been considered before. As the public dissected these possibilities, one thing became clear. Barron Trump was no longer just the quiet, enigmatic figure standing in the background of family photographs. Thanks to a single, seemingly casual interaction, he had become a subject of fascination, someone whose journey people wanted to follow. Whether he would choose to embrace this attention or retreat from it remained his decision to make. For Musk, the interaction seemed to reaffirm his own beliefs in the importance of fostering curiosity and dialogue. His conversation with Barron wasn't just about video games or abstract philosophical concepts. It was about connecting, about recognizing the potential in someone who, despite their reserved exterior, had a mind eager to engage. It was a reminder that even in the most unexpected places there is room for growth, discovery, and collaboration. As the buzz around Thanksgiving began to fade, one couldn't help but wonder what the future held for both figures. Barron Trump, poised at the edge of adulthood, seemed ready to step into his story on his own terms. Elon Musk, ever the disruptor, appeared to be a catalyst in this process, sparking conversations that might shape Barron's path in ways no one could predict. Whether this connection would lead to lasting mentorship or remain a fleeting moment of intrigue, it had already left its mark. And so, as the lights at Mar-a-Lago dimmed and the world moved on to the next headline, the story of Elon Musk and Barron Trump lingered. It was a story of possibility, of connections forged in the unlikeliest of places, and of a young man beginning to find his voice in a world that had always been eager to define him. Whatever came next, one thing was certain. Barron Trump was no longer a mystery, and Elon Musk had helped reveal the first chapter of a story still waiting to be written. With that, we have reached the end of today's video. If you have come this far with us, be sure to check out other videos on the channel.